Rio. You may not notice this with Blue Sky, but they always have a pattern when they release their films in theaters. It's always Ice Age, then an original film. Ice Age, then an original film. Ice Age, then an original film. Which is where we are now. By the way, guess what's the next Blue Sky film? Ice Age. Yeah. But I'm going way off track here. Back to this film. Rio really represents the studio. Rio has a character named Blue, and the characters would sometimes go into the sky. But is this film as beautiful as seeing an endangered species, or is it as fun as bird poo on your head? Let's find out. The story. You may think with a movie that looks like this, they'll make the story as grand as Rio de Janeiro itself. Unfortunately, it's more like the slums and the poor side of the city. They retook the same old story where our main character has been taken far away from his original home, or in this case his owner, and has to find a way to get back while meeting other characters. I mean, how many times have we heard of this before? The last time they told this kind of story was Alpha and Omega, and that's not even a year old. They also have this side story where the owner lost Blue and has to go find him. But come on, that's the kind of story they would put in a Saturday morning cartoon. We all know how that goes. However, I will give it this. What they fill in between the flying scenes, the songs, and the relationship between Blue and Jewel are crafted pretty well. They paid attention on those little details nicely, but for the main plot, it just feels like the writers were lazy during production and wanted to get the job done fast. The animation. Unlike the story, this is where Blue Sky worked hard on, and it really shows. The animation in Rio is wonderful in so many levels. First off, they really experimented with the character animation. With all the different birds, the flying scenes, the musical scores, and the stuff happening at Carnival, it really brings the movie to life. But the best part of it is the background animation. There's a lot of scenes where we would see a view of the city of Rio de Janeiro, and it is breathtaking, as much as seeing the actual place for yourself. They would even back up to see the full view of Carnival with all the people, the floats, and the colors. It makes you want to actually go to Rio or make your own Carnival so you can party like that. Speaking of color, that's another great thing about the animation. They give us all different colors like a tie-dye t-shirt, but with birds. It's actually surprising how there are very few animated films that would show colors like in Rio. Then there's the character design. I love how they put in so much detail to make them look like actual birds. However, there's one flaw with it, and it's the design of the extras. I feel like they don't give us a wide variety, like it really shows that they would reuse the same character design on several extras and put in different colors on each of them so it could be really simple for the animators. But on the other hand, they really made this film a true wonder to see. The characters. When the writing of the story isn't good, then that means it'll also affect who the characters are as well. First, there's Blue, a bird who is way too domestic to be outside of his natural habitat. As that character, he's actually pretty good and likable. Plus, Jesse Eisenberg did a great job as the voice. I feel like Jewel is more like the Disney princess type. You know, even though of her importance, she wants to go explore the world and go on adventures on her own. Already saw that before. Nico and Pedro are not as good as comic reliefs. Like, I prefer Louis than them for that title. I feel like they serve more to give out the songs of the film and act like ethnic stereotypes. Raphael is not great, but also not bad as the helper of the film. He does a good job giving moral advice to Blue and the audience. I don't really care about Linda and Tulio, but Don't you think they look like Flint and Sam from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but with a properly done character design? Then there's Nigel, who I somehow enjoy him as a villain. He reminds me of Stewie from the early episodes of Family Guy. But then there's his owner, who looks a lot like the Watch Where You're Going guy from Courage the Cowardly Dog, the all-known skinny and fat dumb henchman, and Fernando, who, like Tulio and Linda, I do not care about. And then there are the monkeys, who seem like interesting and sometimes funny characters, but I feel like they don't have enough screen time than they should. It feels like Blue Sky just picked up a list of the most used types of characters in a movie and crams them all in one film. Even though the characters get points off for originality, they are okay at a certain degree. The songs. Even though they don't categorize it as a musical, there are a lot of musical numbers in Rio, and they are actually good. The style is more of a modern samba, and they really made me dance in my seat. Unfortunately, there's one big flaw with them. It feels like they always interrupt the songs during the middle of it. Like, the opening was fun and colorful, but then poachers have to catch all the birds. Then there's the song in the club with Nico and Pedro doing an awesome duet, but then the monkeys came in to get Blue and Jewel. Then there's the romantic song to help the relationship of the two blue macaws, but then Blue chokes on a leaf. The only non-interrupted song was the one about Nigel's backstory, and that one was pretty bad. Like, it's the kind where your parents try to be hip or gangsta and do rap to embarrass you. Pretty much. The songs are great, but can we at least have one good uninterrupted number, please? Not counting the end of the movie? It is obvious that Rio is a film that's more focused on visuals than writing. Even though the animation, some of the little details, and the songs are very nice, and the effort really paid off, but they would focus on it too much that the story and some of the characters didn't come out as well as we hoped. The one thing I'm really surprised that they didn't do is make a reference to Angry Birds. Fox marketed the hell out of this movie with that game, with a secret Super Bowl level, and even an entire Angry Birds game dedicated to Rio. I know they have some small round birds in the movie, but you'd think that at least one bird would shoot out of some sort of slingshot, or have Nigel hire some egg-stealing pigs.